P, I don't know if you can help me with the camera.
Sure. No problem, guys.
This
Welcome.
one, I'm not so worried about my face being on. This one for YouTube, Hey, everybody at the YouTube. This is Pop Shrooms coming to live from the Mush Lab, the Detroit Mush Lab. Today, I have to speak a little bit over the fan. Today, what we're going to show you in the next just a few minutes, I'm going to show you two things. We're going to show you how to take from your liquid culture jar. We've started a jar of liquid culture media, and we're going to take this liquid culture media jar, and we're going to withdraw a few syringes from it, 10 cc syringes. And those syringes are what we would normally use to inoculate our grain jars and turn them into smoke. So, the first thing we're going to do is show you how we pull those syringes. Let's see. I believe that my cameraman may have to run upstairs and grab some syringes. They're on the books right behind my office shelf. Just grab a couple of syringes. In the meantime, let me just show you this. These are some plates that we've started just by using a little bit of grain. And then we can take at a later date, cut out little sections of this and drop them into a liquid culture media. And that liquid culture media starts to grow and colonize. One of the reasons it does, and you can even see this, we started this liquid culture with just a colonized seed or two, mycelium. And that started this. We could have done that with a small chunk of agar, or we could have also done that with a little squirt of liquid culture into here. Any one of those three ways would have been a nice way to start this jar of liquid culture media. Now that we have this jar, we're going to get some syringes out of it. So, what we do, get a few syringes. All of our syringes and packaging, everything comes pre-packaged and sterilized. So, from there, we'll always work underneath the flow hood, or if you're not working with the flow hood, you might have a still air box, a little box with a couple of holes, and do most of these operations inside your still air box. Okay? So, we will take a syringe, 10 cc or 10 milliliter syringe. We're going to go ahead, put the needle on. And you'll notice this needle still has its protective cover on it. If for any reason you didn't feel your needle was already sterile, now would be the time you inflame your needle and get it red hot, and then you'll let it cool just a little bit before you use it. Okay? But we aren't going to flame the needle because we don't really need to. So now we're going to take our cap off. And I'm going to put it in my little filter hole. If I just tilt my see, now what I'll do is I'm going to leave the needle in the end. I'm going to leave my needle here. Let me get this ready. And I have these lure locks. They lock the end of the syringe. So I'm going to leave my needle here. And I'm going to put my lure lock on. Now I have a syringe that has some of this liquid media in it, growing and ready, quote unquote, ready to go. Now we almost never will use this the same day or two after we pulled it from our liquid culture media, because it really hasn't had more, we want it to have more time to colonize while it's inside the syringe before we're going to use it. I'll give you examples. So that's how we'll pull it from the jar. While I've got my needle in, I go ahead and I pull 2 or 3 syringes at least. It's not unheard of for us to sit here and pull 10 at a time out of the jar. We'll do this 10 times. Fill 10 syringes worth. Now if I fill 10 syringes worth, oh, I got a lot in that one. If I fill 10 syringes worth from this jar, that would take 100 milliliters of the liquid out. We started with 300 milliliters. So based off of that, we have the capacity to pull about 30 10 cc syringes per jar of 300 milliliter solution. So we're just going to do this while we're here. Pull these. Okay. Each one got its own little amount of mycelium in it. And then we'll set these, we'll label them, and we'll set them aside to colonize some more at around 78 degrees until they get a little thicker. I can show you how thick they are right now. This middle one got a pretty nice donation to it. This one maybe not so much. But either way, within the next few days, these will really start to thicken up. And then we'll go to use them. Okay? In the meantime, that's just to show you how we pull the syringes in the first place. So I'll throw that away. And since I have a hole where my needle went in, I'm just going to cover that back up with another piece of filter tape. Like that. Setting that off to the side. Now it's just to show you how we fill the syringes in the first place. Now, when we're going to go to inoculate our jars, this is a super easy thing to do, and it's one of the reasons we like using liquid culture so much. Liquid culture is fast, simple, safe, and clean. And many times, believe it or not, you don't even need a flow hood, or you don't need a still air box. If you work quick and you work fast, then all of your other areas are good and clean. Because the quickness is really part of it, as long as you're working with really aseptic procedures. So it's different if you have to open a jar lid to add something in, then close the jar lid. You'll never want to do that unless you're underneath the flow hood or in the still air box. But here we are, we're just going to do a quick injection. So to start with, we're going to start with a syringe that we're pretty confident is pretty thick. As you can see, we have a pretty thick one here. So what we're wanting, the reason for our thickness is we're hoping for as much possible mycelium in each of our injection shots as possible. So you'll want to have this shake it up pretty good. Get all of that working live. I squirt the tips of these. Excuse me. So, at this point I'm going to take my alcohol spray and I'm just going to spray the injection port of each jar. We've already cleaned them before we put them under here by wiping them down with alcohol. 70% alcohol solution. We'll wipe them down one more time right here. Okay. Generally speaking, 2 to 3 cc's of liquid culture or multi-spore syringe is all you will need to a quart jar of grain. We have whole oats here, so we're going to put about 2 cc's, 2.5 cc's in each jar. So one syringe should do 4 jars. Okay? Now, I'm going to explain this right before I start. We here at the Detroit Mush Lab like to, when we squirt our mycelium, our liquid culture, into the jars, we like to do it a certain way. Because when it's later on in time, 4 or 5 days from now, we're going to go to check the jars to see how they're colonizing. This makes it real easy for us to spot that it's colonizing. Some people will teach you, and it's okay. That's a good technique. To take it after you put your syringe into the port, to circle it around and try to get coverage with what you're squirting in there. We do this. Wherever the port is, the lid, the port on the lid, wherever it is that's closest to the edge of the jar, when we put our needle in, we angle it to where the donation that we're going to put in, it'll literally run down the side of the jar. Why do we do that? We do that so later on, when we go to look at the jar, I just go straight to the point where the port is, and I look down, and I should see colonization streak happening in that grain coming right down there. So it makes it an instant place I can go and check where my colonization is. If I don't see colonization happening in here, then I'm starting to worry. If I do after about 4 or 5 days, I'll gently shake my jar to get it moved around. This is not shake and break that's being taught out there. That's something else, I'm not going to go into it right now. That's just to get your colonization stream into more grain. But you're guaranteed, you're looking at it going, oh, it's colonizing, I'm happy as a clam, let me get it soaked into some more of the grain, and then your jars are going to be popped. So that's how we do it. We shoot our liquid culture where it sort of drains right down the jar. And I always know by looking at the jar, I should see a colonization streak happening here. So here we go, we're going to do it. The camera might be able to zoom in on me a little bit. You're going to see put it in. It's just running right down there. That's all I'll want for now. I'll watch that colonize a little bit, and then I can spread it. Just like that, boom, 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 boom. We've just done 4 jars. We'll always take our jars while we're working, and we'll take our syringe, set it with the jars until we go back and label. And now I'd move on and do more jars. Camera holding in its position, let me show you. Do we have more to do? Well, I would say yes. I'd say we have about 5 cases of these to do in 10 minutes. So, with that being said, we hope you learned a little bit. We certainly appreciate you took the time to listen to us today. If you liked what you heard and you wanted to give us a thumbs up here, we really appreciate it. And on YouTube, if you feel like following us on IG, we're at Detroit_MushLab, and check us out over there. Thank you for everything. Pops, peace, love, out.
Beep. IG. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here. Thanks for checking us out today. That was super cool. Have a great day.